Whoa! What happened now? Where'd my camera go? I promise I'm here. This is weird. Alright, I can fix this. I'm running into all kinds of technical problems, but we're going to get this squared away. This is the digital weather desk, powered by Century Next Bank. Hang on just a second. Maybe we fixed my camera. If we didn't, I'll get it fixed for the next time. But I do know how to fix, for the next time, my audio interface. Yeah, it's still not fixed. Oh well. I promise I'm here. Let's take this down real quick. I may be able to fix this on the fly. But thanks so much for joining the Digital Weather Desk, powered by Century Next Bank. As you take a look at the radar and the rainfall across the region, we are continuing to deactivate, activate. Ha 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 ha! See? Technical issues, be darned. I can fix it all. Next time that the audio cuts out mid-time, you just tell me like you did this time, and I will unplug and replug in my audio interface. Here's the thing, folks. Let me tell you a little lesson about life in general. If you ever run into something that's wrong in your life, turn it off and turn it back on again. And if you can't, well, then unplug it and plug it back in. And if you can't do that, then throw it in rice. Here's a look at the radar made possible by Brown's Roofing. Schedule your free roof inspection. BrownsRoofingLA.com. Commercial or residential. Are we good now? I think we're good all the way around. I think you guys can hear me. I think you guys can see me. That's a good or bad thing, depending on how you want to look at that. Take a look at the zoomed-in radar picture, and we can kind of go through where we're seeing the heaviest downpours across the region. And most of that stretches from the state line, southern portions of Ashley County through western Morehouse Parish, and into western Ouachita Parish. I'll zoom in just a little bit. Caitlin says we can hear and see. Good. Awesome. That's all we need. At least for this. Again, we'll put things into motion. And the plus side to a lot of this rain, as it's moved through the area, it's not necessarily impacting any one particular area repeatedly. Most of these showers moving off to the east at a pretty quick pace. Again, that's at least a little bit of good news, because again, while the rain, in terms of the drought conditions and all of those things, that's good news. But the bad news is, just like Kathy just said, and this is a very, very good point for our area, rain and tarps do not mix, and a lot of folks have either compromised roofs or have tarped roofs or things like that, and that's going to continue to be frustrating and create some headaches. Now, again, most of what we're seeing rain-wise has been manageable in terms of the heaviest downpours. And I looked at the Louisiana Mesonet. I don't know if any of these rain totals registered with the other live stream before the microphone went out. So we'll just do it again. 2,100ths of an inch of rainfall at ULM, 1,800ths of an inch of rain in Eris, Colfax, 300ths of an inch rain. So generally a couple of tenths of an inch of rain along and north of I-20, and then south of the interstate, it's a few hundredths of an inch of rain so far. We still have quite a bit of the rest of the day and into the afternoon. And this afternoon, we'll run into the possibility of a few thunderstorm-driven rain totals. Nothing severe, but again, any thunderstorm-driven rains will create some heavier downpours. Again, you combine that with tarped roofs, and it's not an ideal scenario for folks that are continuing to clean up from the ice storm from the end of last month. A check of temperatures. Most of us are generally in the mid to upper 50s to near 60 degrees across much of the ArkLaMiss region. 57 in Vicksburg, 57 in Ruston, 59 in Monroe, 56 in El Dorado, and 61 currently in Camden. Dew points, generally low to mid 50s. The air is pretty saturated. To look at humidity values, if relative humidity is your thing, I'm not a big fan of it. If there's a weather parameter I'm not a fan of, that's probably it. But it does show that our air is pretty much completely saturated on this Tuesday afternoon. So it's rainy, and it's damp, and it's gross. Not that big of a surprise. Hello, Jacob. Hope things are well in your neck of the woods. Long time no see. Miss you, buddy. Check of wind speeds back out of the south and southwest, generally in the 5 to 10 mile an hour range, but some spots have seen some higher gusts. Linda, good afternoon to you as well. To Linda and to Jane and like I said, to Kathy. Thank you all so much for joining in. And for everybody else that has taken the time out to join in this live stream, or if you're watching it after the fact, which is what a lot of folks do. It's the middle of the workday, so some folks are doing stuff. Winds are out of the southwest again, ahead of the boundary. Here's a look at some positives. And, of course, it's not positives for everybody. It's not positives for the folks that are still under these small percentages without power. But we did get some thumbs up. I had one person in one of my earlier videos, they said 10 days in Calhoun without power. And I was like, man, that stinks, and I'm really, really sorry to hear it. And then I got a comment immediately after that, well, almost immediately after that, hour or so after that. It was like, we just got power. I was like, that's good stuff. So I'm glad to hear the excitement in folks' voices, or at least see it in their text as they write, in all caps, really excited about the fact that power is being restored. I know this is a very frustrating and prolonged event. So, again, it's at least a little bit of good news. Carmen, I appreciate you folks in northern Ashley County, too. Not much rain in Winnsboro, says Rita. And, yeah, I would expect, like I said, southern parishes, most of you folks, it's been pretty sluggish in terms of the totals. Just a few hundredths of an inch of rain. Should pick up a little bit, and then you guys may see some heavier rain a little bit later on this evening. Jason asks how we fared in the ice storms. We did okay. Roof's going to need some work. We got the Browns folks coming over. We're on the list, and so they're going to come over and check us out. We told them we're not a priority by any stretch. First off, we wanted everybody else to get checked out first, but secondly, we're not, as of now, knock on wood, as of right now, we're not leaking inside or anything like that. So again, we're not a urgent priority when it comes to, like I said, people with holes in roofs and needing tarps and being patched and all that kind of stuff. So the roof we're okay on right now. But we're gonna need a new one because it took some damage just in terms of the ice effects. But also we did have a tree fall on one side of it, at least leaning onto it, and that did a little bit of shingle damage. And so there's, like I said, there's normal kind of stuff. We had a tree fall in the backyard, but nobody was around, so we don't know if it made a sound. Ba-doom-tsh. I don't know. But it didn't. It fell right into the middle of the yard, and it didn't do any damage. It just fell into the yard. We just got to chop it up and haul it off to the road. We fared better than a lot of our neighbors, and we're very, very fortunate, very blessed, and we were able to kind of pay it forward and help some folks and have some folks in our house and keep them warm, and we just kind of crammed the house with what we helped where we could, and that's all we really asked folks. Just be a good neighbor. A check of the satellite, and you can kind of see where the clearing continues back to the northwest associated with this frontal boundary. A look at the upper level winds, and we do have some changes in store. We'll bring some cooler air back into the region with a reinforcing shot of cool air, not only through the day tomorrow, but late tomorrow and through the day on Thursday. So on the back end of this kind of reinforcing shot of cold, dry air, it is a quickly modifying cold air mass. And it's not an Arctic air mass. We're not looking, it's a cool down, but it's nothing drastic. We drop below freezing for most areas for Thursday morning, but then it's a quick warm up after that. Ridge of high pressure in place for the weekend keeps us dry. Mid-level winds are fairly weak during that stretch, so no significant storm systems that are really sounding any kind of alarm bells. Probably dealing with some type of storm system by the end of the weekend and early next week. That looks to be in the form of another weak front. There looks to be a front that moves through the area late Friday, and then there will be another one that moves through the area on Sunday. At least that's how it times out right now. And then that boundary passes through, and then it looks like the early parts of next week are also quiet. Now, again, we say that, but we're talking a week out, and this big hump in the jet stream probably is going to keep us very quiet early parts of next week. But as I mentioned earlier, we do have this trough of low pressure out to the Intermountain West, the Pacific coastline, and we don't really know how that will evolve and what that means for the middle, the end parts of next week. And before you start trying to read too much into what I'm trying to say, it doesn't necessarily imply that it's going to be some kind of significant storm system, especially if it's having to erode away a very stout ridge of high pressure. It could look very different by the time it moves into the central United States. So, again, the upper level pattern will continue to be in flux through the middle and end parts of the month. And right now it looks to bring more frequent storm potential back into the area. But we can't even really say that with a lot of certainty either. The 6 to 10 day temperature outlook points us, as we head toward Valentine's Day, it points us toward above average temperatures and below average precipitation, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Everybody's got ice and stuff still on their roofs, and it's just kind of damp and gross and sloshy outside, so we need a chance to dry out. And it looks like we're headed that way in the 6 to 10 day pattern. I won't show you the 8 to 14 day pattern because I'm not necessarily in love with how that map's drawn. It does have us above average temperature-wise, which I kind of jive and vibe with, but in terms of the precip, kind of has equal chances, and I do think we may trend perhaps a little bit stormier during that stretch. Possibly. We'll keep an eye on it. Can't say with a lot of confidence because, again, there's just not a lot of signals in either direction pointing that way. Low 60s for highs today. Again, the showers and thunderstorms will continue. Just an occasional rumble of thunder. The severe weather threat looks pretty low. And then overnight lows tonight, mid to upper 30s. The rain will end from northwest to southeast. Folks in the southern parishes and counties may hang on to the rain well into the night, up until midnight or so. Again, if you check your forecast at digitalweatherdesk.com or on the app, in the southern parishes and counties, those rain chances are notably higher through a good chunk of the night. Check of the 7-day made possible by 3B Hardware. It shows low 50s for highs Wednesday, Thursday. This is all refreshed information from where it was this morning, but it doesn't really show anything drastic. It does reintroduce the 70s back into the forecast Sunday, Monday. Am I overly confident that we'll be firmly into the 70s? I think 60s are very attainable. 70s, it looks like it. Looks like it, at least for now. But we will be working a cold front through on Sunday. If that front's a little bit stronger, maybe a different story for the early parts of next week. Did pretty good, all things considered. Never lost power. I don't understand it. The rains finally melted. The rest of the ice was definitely worse than 21. We were just talking about the contrast with 21 to this storm in 26. 21 in a lot of the area was more sleet than it was freezing rain. We did see a lot of ice accumulation, but it was really more sleet than freezing rain. It was more travel. It was the longer-lasting travel impacts. We did have some power outage problems. We had some infrastructure problems. But yeah, it was nuts. Katie says, it's crazy, this rain and higher temperatures and melting. I mean, I think we also underestimate the density of, I mean, that's one big ice cube. And, I mean, you put a bunch of ice in your drink, takes a while for that ice to melt. It would help if we got into the 60s and 70s a little bit more frequently. Because that's like dropping ice into coffee instead of dropping ice into a refrigerated soda. Or a Red Bull, if you will. May have to grab one of those before the afternoon's over. Forecast is always available at digitalweatherdesk.com and on the Digital Weather Desk app, available for Apple and Android users. Links to download can be found at digitalweatherdesk.com. I'll join you later today with a look at the forecast as we wrap up. Of course, if anything crazy happens on the radar, I'll let you know. We are not looking for any kind of significant severe weather threat. If we were looking, we're not looking for any severe weather threat at all. If we were looking at a severe weather threat, Tuesday would be highlighted in red, but we're not. So we'll just keep an eye on the rain chances as we go through the rest of the day and where temperatures go as we head toward Wednesday and Thursday. Fishing game comes out later tonight. Always a great little one graphic forecast that you can take and carry with you as you prepare for the next day, made possible by First South Farm Credit. Thanks so much for making the Digital Weather Desk, powered by Century Next Bank, part of your day. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Be careful on the roadways. If your windshield wipers are going, your lights need to be on. Exercise caution. Not everybody's as good a driver as you are. And enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.